All right. Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to say, call Haloyam Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai Bahashim Rakah Quitash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who have taught me this truth and who rule well in this truth. Shalom to the 144,000 and the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel that is scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. Peace and mercy unto you, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. You are the true Hebrew Israelites that the Bible speaks of. You are the true chosen people of the book. All right. So what I want to get into is, I don't have a particular lesson that I want to get into. This is just going to be, through the spirit. But I want to start with this verse right here. All right, so let's just get right into it. All right, this is Isaiah, the 2nd chapter, starting at the 1st verse. All right, and it reads, the word that Isaiah, the son of Amos, saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem. All right, Judah and Jerusalem. All right, you Israelites, the nation of Israel. All right, this concerns you. All right, so listen up. All right, the word that Isaiah, the son of Amos, saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem. All right, you Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. All right, and it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain of the Lord's house, all right, which is the nation of Israel, all right, mountains in the scriptures represents, governments or nations, all right. So verse 2, it says, and it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain of the Lord's house, all right, which is the nation of Israel, shall be established in the top of the mountains. Yeah, so what the Lord is getting ready to do in these last days is establish, all right, the nation of Israel, all right, as the top nation, all right, that's going to be above all the other nations, all right. When Yahweh Shai comes back, all right, he's going to make the nation of Israel, you Negroes, you Latinos, you Native Americans, all right, the nation to rule this planet Earth. All right, that's the nation that's going to become kings and gods and rulers. All right, in that nation, the nation of Israel is going to rule over all these other nations, and all the other nations are going to be slaves and subjects to the nation of Israel. All right, and we could prove that with many other scriptures. All right, and if it be the Lord's will, I grab those precepts. All right, it says, and it shall come to pass. Let me start at verse 1 again. All right, it says, the word that Isaiah, the son of Amos, saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem. And it shall come to pass in the last days, which is now, all right, that the mountain of the Lord Yahweh's house, which is the nation of Israel, shall be established in the top of the mountains. Yeah, it's going to become the top nation, the ruling nation that's above all nations, all right, and shall be exalted above the hills. And all nations shall flow unto it. Yeah, the nation of Israel is going to be exalted above the hills. All right, it's going to be exalted above all these other nations, because hills represents nations and peoples. All right, in the scriptures. All right, and nations shall flow unto it. Yeah, because when we come back into power, right, when the kingdom is given to the nation of Israel, when rulership is given back to the nation of Israel, when Yahweh Shai returns, all right, all the other nations are going to have to follow our ways, our laws, all right, the laws of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai, the laws that Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai gave unto the nation of Israel. Those are going to be the laws, all right, that are going to govern this earth. You understand? All nations are going to flow unto us, and they're going to learn of our ways. All right, as we're reading right here. All right, verse 2 again. It shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain of the Lord Yahweh's house shall be established in the top of the mountains, and shall be exalted above the hills, and nations shall flow unto it. You see? And many people shall go and say, come ye and let us go up to the mountain of the Lord Yahweh, all right, which is the nation of Israel, all right, to the house of the God of Jacob. You see, the nation of Israel, all right, Let me read that again. It says, and many people, all right, which is all the other nations, all right, and many people shall go and say, come ye, let us go up to the mountain of the Lord Yahweh, which is the nation of Israel, to the house of the Most High of Jacob, all right, and he will teach of us his ways. Yeah, all right. All the other nations are going to learn of our ways, all right, the ways of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai, all right, and we will walk in his paths, for out of Zion shall go forth the law. Yeah, out of Zion shall go forth the law, man. All right, the laws of the nation of Israel, all right, because the laws were only established in Israel, right, were only given to Israel, all right, but in the kingdom of heaven, all right, the laws are what's going to govern this entire earth, all right, and the other nations are going to have to abide by the laws, all right, going to have to abide by our laws and rules and regulations, man, just like we, Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, and all the other Israelites that are scattered throughout the four corners of the earth under the other nations, looking like the other nations, all right, we abide by Esau's rules, laws, and regulations now, don't we? We're living in his world, in his society. He makes all the rules, laws, and regulations as of now, man. All right, and we have to follow his laws, rules, and regulations. But it's going to be a complete role reversal. Luke the 16th chapter. In the kingdom of heaven, when Yahweh Shai returns, they're going to have to listen to our laws, rules, and regulations, which is the rules, laws, and regulations of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai. Okay? All right, it's going to be a complete role reversal, man. All right, the first shall be last and the last shall be first. Right? It says, and we will walk in his paths, for out of Zion shall go forth the law. All right, and the word of Yahweh from Jerusalem. All right, so matter of fact, let's further prove that. Let's get Zechariah, the 14th chapter. All right, because all these other nations are going to have to listen to our laws, man. All right, let's get Zechariah 14. I'll start at verse 16. It says, and it shall come to pass that everyone that is left of all the nations which came against Jerusalem, which represents the nation of Israel, right? Jerusalem represents a people, force, a place, which it represents the nation of Israel, all right? And it shall come to pass that everyone that is left of all the nations which came against Jerusalem shall even go up from year to year to worship the King, Yahweh of hosts, to keep the feast of tabernacles. Excuse me, my phone got knocked over. All right, let me read that again. Zechariah 14 and 16. It says, and it shall come to pass that everyone that is left of all the nations which come against Jerusalem, yeah, all the other nations came against the nation of Israel all throughout the course of history. Every nation had their hand in the cookie jar, all right, when it comes to our slavery and oppression, all right, throughout the course of history. All right, and it shall come to pass that everyone that is left of all the nations which came against Jerusalem shall even go up from year to year to worship the King, Yahweh of hosts, to keep the feast of tabernacles. So these nations are going to have to keep the high holy days as well. All right, they're going to have to keep the Sabbaths and all of that. All right, it says, and it shall be that whoso will not come up of all the families of the earth, which are the other nations, right, unto Jerusalem to worship the King, Yahweh of hosts, even upon them shall be no rain. Yeah, so they're not going to get blessed, right? It says, and if the family of Egypt go not up and come not, that have no rain, there shall be the plague. All right, wherewith Yahweh will smite the heathen that come not up to keep the feast of the tabernacles. Yeah, so they don't come up to keep the holy days, the Sabbaths. If they don't want to worship us, if they don't want to serve us, all right, if they don't want to serve us, they're going to be destroyed. All right, there's not going to be no rain for them, man. All right. It says It says, wherewith Yahweh will smite the heathen that come not up to keep the feast of the tabernacles. All right. This shall be the punishment of Egypt and the punishment of all nations that come not up to keep the feast of tabernacles. All right. So let's also prove that with Isaiah, the 60th chapter. Give me a second. Isaiah 60 and 12. All right. Matter of fact, I'll start at verse 10. All right. Isaiah 60 and 10. It says, and the sons of strangers shall build up thy walls, and their kings shall minister unto thee. Yeah. All right. They're gonna build up the kingdom of heaven for us. All right. Just like we build up their empire. All right. Did not Esau enslave us? All right. And have us build up his empire for free. Right? They're going to be working for us in the kingdom of heaven. It says, and the sons of the strangers, which is the other nations, shall build up thy walls, and their kings shall minister unto thee. Yeah, they're going to be our subjects, our slaves and servants. All right. For in my wrath I smote thee, but in my favor have I had mercy on thee. All right. Therefore thy gates shall be open continually, they shall not be shut day or night, that men may bring unto thee the forces of the Gentiles. Yeah, everything that the Gentiles have belong unto us now. All right, it's because it's really ours. All right, all this earth is ours, starting with Yahweh Shai, Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai. All right, because this is really his earth and his kingdom, his rulership that's getting ready to be brought on this planet Earth. All right, it says that men may bring unto thee the forces of the Gentiles, and that their kings may be brought. All right, verse 12, this is the point. It says, for the nation and kingdom that will not serve thee shall perish. Yeah, so all the kingdoms and nations, they're going to serve us in the kingdom of heaven. And the Lord said, the ones that don't shall perish. All right, let's read it again. It says, for the nation and kingdom that will not serve thee shall perish. Yea, those nations shall be utterly wasted. Ooh. All right, so these other nations, all right, they have no other choice but to serve us in the kingdom of heaven. If they don't serve us, all right, they're going to be utterly wasted. They're going to perish. They're going to be done up out here. Right? All right, and also when you read Isaiah 14, it also goes into that too. All right, that the other nations, the ones that oppressed us, we're going to oppress them. All right, it's going to be a role reversal. It's in righteousness. We're going to rule over our oppressors. All right, but I'll grab that in a second. Let's go back to Isaiah 2. Right, let's start verse 4. All right, Isaiah 2 and 4, it says, and he shall judge among the nations, and shall rebuke many people, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. All right, it says they shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. All right, a sword and a spear are weapons of war, but it says they shall beat them into plowshares and into pruning hooks, which are farming tools. Right? But why? Let's keep reading. It says, nation shall not lift up, it says, nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. All right? Yeah, because going back to the Holy Land, the Israelites going back to the Holy Land is part of the kingdom of heaven. All right? Going back to the Holy Land, the promised land. All right, that's part of the kingdom of heaven. The Israelites are going to return back to the Holy Land when Yahweh Shai returns, right? So when the Israelites return back to the Holy Land, all right, when the kingdom of heaven is given back to the Israelites, rulership of this planet Earth, all right, there's not going to be no more wars on earth. This is what we're reading, all right? It says, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. And that's going to happen when the Israelites return back to the Holy Land. All right, this is how we know that the people in the land of Israel today, they're not the real Jews. They're not the true Israelites that the Bible speaks of. all right, because they're in the Holy Land right now, right? But there's still wars on earth. They themselves are at war, right? The scriptures are saying that when the Lord raises up the nation of Israel to rule this planet earth, this is what we're reading, all right, in Isaiah the second chapter, starting at the first verse, from the fourth verse, that when the Lord sets up the nation of Israel, the kingdom of heaven, to be kings and gods and rulers of this planet earth once again, there's not going to be no more wars on earth. So the people that are claiming to be Jews in the land of Israel today, right, they can't be the Israelites because they're in the Holy Land, but yet there's tons of wars on this earth. The whole world is literally at war. You got all types of conflicts and tensions happening upon this earth right now. This whole earth is at war. You got the tensions between China and Taiwan, right? You got the tensions, I think there's also tensions between China and Japan, right? You got the Russian and Ukraine war that's going on, which North Korea is also involved in that war. All right, you got the war that's going on right now between the state of Israel and Hamas in Gaza. You also got the war that's going on between the state of Israel and Iran, which the U.S. was also involved in that war. You had the U.S. Bomb Iran, right? You got all types of tensions and wars going on in this in this earth right now. So according to prophecy, according to the Bible, it would literally be impossible for the people in the land of Israel today, all right, to be the true people, man. Okay, the scriptures say, I think it's in Zechariah. Let me see if I can find it real quick. The scriptures say that a bastard shall dwell in Ashdod, all right, meaning, you know, because what is a bastard? A bastard is someone that doesn't have a father, right? There's only one nation that the Heavenly Father is a God to, all right, which is the nation of Israel. A bastard, meaning someone that a nation that doesn't have a God, shall dwell in Ashdod. Ashdod is in Israel, the Holy Land. So you have bastards, all right, dwelling in Ashdod, the Holy Land, right now. All right, Gentiles. All right, the scriptures say that the let me see if I can find it real quick. Let me it might be in Zechariah, if you know my memory serves me correctly. But let me see real quick, because I might be wrong. If I can't find it, then I'll just continue. All right. You can put it down in the comment section if you find it. All right, but just give me a second real quick. Cause also, yeah, right here. Ooh, call her Loyum Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai. All right, this is Zechariah 8 and no, my bad. Zechariah 9 and 6. All right, it says a bastard shall dwell in Ashdod. Ashdod is in the land of Israel. A bastard dwells in Ashdod right now. All right, meaning the Gentiles, the other nations that are in Israel. All right, they dwell in Ashdod right now. All right, and also when you get Luke, the 21st chapter, let's grab that real quick. Luke 21. Second, let's grab it. Luke 21 and 24. All right. Luke 21 and 24. All right. It says, and this is Yahweh Shai speaking. All right. It says, and they shall fall by the edge of the sword and shall be led away captive into all nations. Talking about the nation of Israel. We were led captives into all nations. We were scattered. Right. It says, and Jerusalem, all right, which is in the Holy Land, and Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles, all right, until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled, until it's time for them to be destroyed out of that land, all right? So it says, and Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles, right? So right now Jerusalem is trodden down with the Gentiles. There's Gentiles in the Holy Land right now. All right, the natural Gentiles, right? Because you have two different types of Gentiles. The natural Gentiles, which is the other nations, right? And then you got the Gentiles, the Israelite foreigners, all right? The Israelites that became Gentiles, all right? Those are the Gentiles that receive salvation in the New Testament, all right? It says, and Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled, until it's time to be destroyed out of that land, all right? So that's how we know that the people in the land of Israel, all right, today, all right, or what's known as the state of Israel, all right, they're not the true people of the Bible. They're not the Israelites that the Bible speaks of. We know this according to prophecy, man. All right, we know that according to prophecy and also historical facts. All right, if you know any history, all right, you know that the people in the land of Israel today, they're not the real Jews, man. They're not the true Israelites that the Bible speaks of. The people in the land of Israel today, the people that are in the Holy Land today, all right, they did not enter into that land until 1948. All right, that's why we call them 1948ers. We call them, we call them the 1948ers. All right, they did not enter into that land until 1948. And the very same night they entered into the Holy Land, war broke out. The very same night they entered into that land, war broke out. And according to prophecy, we know that when the Israelites return into the Holy Land, there's not going to be no more wars on earth. This is what we're reading right now in Isaiah, the 2nd chapter. That when the Israelites return, there's not going to be no more wars on earth. But those people that entered into that land, that are in that land right now, that didn't enter into that land until 1948, the very same night, war broke out. All right, but we're reading right here in Isaiah, the 2nd chapter. It says, and he shall judge among nations and shall rebuke many people. And they shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hook. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. And in the verses above, all right, lets you know that this is going to happen when the Lord sets up the nation of Israel to be kings and gods and rulers of this planet Earth again. All right, they're not going to learn war. They shall not learn war anymore. Let's also get another scripture. All right, Jeremiah. All right, Jeremiah 10. Let's grab that real quick. Jeremiah 10. And I think it's Jeremiah 10. No, it might be Jeremiah 30. Give me a second. Jeremiah 30 and 10. It says, therefore, fear thou not, O my servant Jacob, the nation of Israel, saith Yahweh. Neither be dismayed, O Israel, for lo, I will save thee from afar. The Lord is going to save us from where? From afar. Because we were scattered. The Israelites are still scattered till this day. They're still scattered till this day all throughout the four corners of the earth. And they're not going to return to the Holy Land until Yahweh Shai comes back. All right? This is what we're reading right now. All right? I will save thee from afar and thy seed from the land of their captivity. And Jacob shall return. Return where? To the Holy Land. And shall be in rest and be quiet. And none shall make him afraid. All right? So we're reading that when Jacob returns to the Holy Land, all right, it says, and Jacob shall return and shall be in rest. All right, does it look like that the people in the Holy Land today, all right, does it look like they're at rest? No, they're at war. Right? And it says, and shall be in rest and be quiet, all right, and none shall make him afraid. Because nothing is going to make us afraid when we return back, because we're going to be immortal. We're going to be kings, gods, and rulers of this planet Earth, and there's not going to be no more wars on Earth. There's nothing we're going to be afraid of, because we're going to live forever. We can't die. We're going to be at complete rest. We're going to be ruling. We're going to be kings and gods forever and ever. All right? So we're reading that when in Jeremiah 30:10, it says, and Jacob shall return and shall be in rest. So when we return to the Holy Land, the Israelites are going to be in rest. All right? And be quiet. All right? And none shall make him afraid. All right? Come on, man. All right? That's how we know the people in the land, in the Holy Land today, they're not at rest. All right? When people are at war, all right, you're afraid, man. All right? Let's also read, let's see if I can get Jeremiah. Let's see. Give me a second. This is another scripture. Let me see if I could, let me go back to Jeremiah 30 real quick. Just want to see if I have any precepts written down. I swore there was another one like this one in Jeremiah 50. Give me a second. I'm just looking for it. Just bear with me. Nah, I can't find it, man. I swore it was in Jeremiah 50. Well, this chapter is talking about America being destroyed anyway. But I swore it was in that chapter. So let's just go back to Isaiah 2 and let's read that again. All right. Just to go over it, so you get the understanding. All right. And then I guess that'll be the video. All right. So it says Isaiah 2:1. All right. And the word that Isaiah the son of Amos saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem. So this is a vision that Isaiah saw. All right. Concerning who? Judah and Jerusalem. All right. You Israelites. All right. Which is you Negroes, man. All right. Latinos and Native Americans. All right. It says, the word that Isaiah, the son of Amos, saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem. All right, this is the vision, all right? And it shall come to pass in the last days, which is now, that the mountain of the Lord's house, all right, Yahweh, all right, which is the nation of Israel, shall be established in the top of the mountains. Yeah, so the kingdom of Israel, the nation of Israel is going to be above all these other nations, all right? And shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow unto it. Yeah, because we're going to rule, all right? And our laws are going to govern the earth, and all the nations are going to flow unto us, man, to learn of our ways, all right? All right, and many people shall go and say, come ye, and let us go up to the mountain of the Lord Yahweh, which is the nation of Israel, to the house of the Most High God Yahweh of Jacob, and he will teach us his ways, and we will walk in his paths, for out of Zion shall go forth the law, all right, and the word of Yahweh from Jerusalem. So this is the vision that Isaiah is seeing, all right, that when the Lord, in the last days, the Lord is going to return and set up the nation of Israel to be kings and gods and rulers, all right, above all these other nations on earth. All right, so let's read verse 4. It says, and he shall judge among the nations, and shall rebuke many people, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. All right, so when the Lord returns, all right, and sets the Israelites back into the Holy Land, there's not going to be no more wars on earth, bro. Come on, man, it's so easy, man. This to know and understand and acknowledge that the people in the land of Israel, they're not the real Israelites. They're not the people, man. Again, all right, look it up. When they entered into that land in 1948, a war broke out. So how are they the people according to prophecy. We're reading that when the Israelites return to the Holy Land, they shall learn war no more. But the very night the people in the land of Israel, that are in the land of Israel today, the very night they entered into that land in 1948, a war broke out. All right, it was a war broke out against the Arabs, man. All right, look it up, man. You know, just type in the war 1948, the state of Israel or something like that, man, and it'll come up, man. You know, come on, man. All right, so, you know, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai Ratazad, this lesson was edifying. You know, I hope this lesson was edifying, man. You know, I hope y'all learned something from it. You know, gain the wisdom, the knowledge. All right, so I want to say, Call Haloyam Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai Bahashim Rakal Quickdaj. With that being said, unto the next one, Shalom, Shalom.